For more than 2 centuries, the Vikings terrorized Europe. They burned churches, slaughtered monks, and left entire kingdoms trembling in fear. Most people prayed they would never see a Viking ship. But one Christian monk did something no one else dared. He sailed straight into Viking territory, not with an army, but with a Bible. During the early 9th century, Europe lived beneath a constant shadow of fear. Along its rivers and coastlines, dragon-headed ships could appear without warning, bringing fierce Norse warriors whose raids became the stuff of legend. Monasteries, often isolated and poorly defended, were among their favorite targets. Sacred books were burned, treasures were stolen, and countless monks lost their lives protecting little more than their faith. To many Christians, the Vikings were not merely invaders, they represented chaos itself. Few could imagine crossing the sea towards such danger voluntarily. Yet one man believed that even the fiercest warriors deserved the opportunity to hear the gospel. His name was Ansgar. Born around the year 801 inches, the Frankish Empire, he entered monastic life while still young and quickly earned a reputation for humility, discipline, and unwavering devotion. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Ansgar believed that Christianity should not stop at the borders of the Christian kingdoms. If Christ had commanded his followers to preach to all nations, then even the feared lands of the north had to be reached. When news arrived that a Danish king was willing to receive Christian missionaries, Ansgar volunteered without hesitation. The voyage itself tested every ounce of his faith. Violent storms battered the small wooden ship as it crossed the freezing waters of the North Sea. Pirates prowled the same routes, and many travelers never returned from such journeys. Yet Ansgar pressed on, convinced that God had called him to a mission that seemed impossible. Upon reaching Denmark, he found a world unlike anything he had ever known. The people honored Odin, Thor, and other Norse gods. Their culture celebrated warriors, honor, and battle, while Christianity remained almost entirely unknown. Instead of condemning those around him, Ansgar chose a different path. He listened before he spoke. He learned their customs, respected their traditions where he could, and patiently shared the teachings of Christ. Some mocked him, others ignored him completely, but a few listened. Small groups accepted baptism, and the first fragile Christian communities began to appear in places where no church had ever existed before. His greatest challenge came when he traveled even farther north into Sweden. There, the dangers multiplied. Pagan priests held great influence. Local rulers could change their minds without warning, and any sign of weakness could cost a missionary his life. Yet, Ansgar continued to preach with remarkable courage. He established places of worship, encouraged new believers, and offered hope to people who had never encountered Christianity before. Years of work were often erased in a matter of weeks. Political upheaval forced Christian communities to scatter. Churches were destroyed. Converts abandoned the faith under pressure from local leaders. Many missionaries would have accepted defeat. Ansgar refused. Again and again, he returned to Scandinavia, rebuilding what had been lost and encouraging those who remained faithful. His mission was never measured by immediate success, but by perseverance. As decades passed, the seeds he planted slowly began to grow. Christian merchants carried the faith along trade routes. Scandinavian rulers became increasingly open to relations with Christian Europe. New missionaries followed the path Ansgar had opened. Although he never witnessed the complete transformation of the region, the foundations had been laid. Within the centuries that followed, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway gradually embraced Christianity. Ansgar died in the year 865 without knowing the full impact of his life's work. History would later remember him as the Apostle of the North, a title earned not through military victories or political power, but through extraordinary courage and unwavering faith. While Europe remembered the Vikings for the fear they inspired, Ansgar remembered them as people worthy of hope and redemption. More than 1,000 years later, his story continues to remind us that history is sometimes changed not by those who carry swords, but by those willing to walk into the heart of danger, carrying nothing but faith.